This is the Little Moments Count radio podcast, created in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. Each episode, you'll hear interviews with early childhood experts on how to support the important brain development that takes place in the first 1,000 days of life, just through little moments every day. Learn more at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.
Culture. I'm doing this one for the culture. I'm doing this one for the culture. There's a couple things heavy on my mind, on my heart right now. So we just gonna dive straight in. Welcome to the show. We here every Saturday from 12 until 2 p.m. You are tuned into For the Culture. All right, this is like a family get together every Saturday afternoon from 12 until 2. Right, we talk a lot. You know, we listen to a lot of music. We get fed. You know, spiritually, physically, I can't feed you. You know what I'm saying? But if you're feeling generous and you want to bring a plate to the studio, you DM me and I'll tell you where you can do that. Today, we're going to get into our Food for the Culture segment extra early. But I want to make sure I let you all know that today's show is dedicated to the angels. It is January 31st, 2026, and it is my little brother's heavenly birthday. I'm 43 years old. My little brother that's my other brother. He's on my heart. My little brother Warren, aka Junior, would have been 42, and I didn't get a chance to get to know him. You know, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that I feel his presence every single day. I got a couple pictures. And I know that my parents listen to my show, so all my parents listen to my show. So for the two that created this baby that didn't make it, this is for y'all as well. You know, well, they don't really talk about it too much, but I know. And it's always the oldest, the firstborn, to remind you guys, unfortunately, of this moment. But we're gonna do something nice today. All right, so now you know the show is for the angels. The show is for my brother and all the angels that we have. A lot of the artists that I play today will be artists that have left us music, that are no longer here. But first we're gonna get fed, so we're gonna get our food out the way early today. Our food is from a teacher. So I'm gonna change my instrumental. All right, because like as an educator myself, like we need something chill. You know, gotta have something chill. So let me throw this on repeat. I hope you're having a good day out there. I know it's early, 12:10 in the afternoon. Mike's got you though. All right. This episode of For the Culture is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count and Minnesota Public Radio. Little Moments Count is a statewide collaborative focused on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of brain development in the first 3 years of life. Nearly 80% of brain growth happens in the first 1,000 days, and small moments of interaction like talking, playing, reading, and singing help create the pathways that build a child's brain during this early stage of life. For more information, you can visit at littlemomentscount.org. For the Culture is excited to be partnering with Little Moments Count to host these conversations focused on early childhood development. There'll be guests every week or so to talk about their involvement in Little Moments Count and how they view the role of early childhood development in creating bright futures and strong communities. I got a teacher here. All right. I'm gonna call you Miss Marie. Can I do that? Let me make sure you are on mic 4. Let's test your mic. Can you want to test?
Hello.
Perfect. And you can lean it up towards you.
Okay.
It kind of bent. Yep.
All right.
All right. Marie Lister is an expert in early childhood education. Marie graduated from the University of Minnesota in 2012 with a Master's of Education. That's a long time. And teaching license in early childhood special education. You're going to learn why that's important to me as well. With 19 years of experience, she currently works as a preschool teacher and the Director of Teaching and Research at the Childhood Development Center at the University of Minnesota. Beyond that, Maria is a coach, a facilitator for the program Young Hearts, Open Minds. I want to hear about that too. Helping children thrive in a racially diverse world, where she helps early childhood teachers reflect on their biases and prevent bias in young kids. She's deeply passionate about supporting the social and emotional growth of children through an anti-bias lens and ensuring families and communities have access to quality early childhood education. Miss Marie, how you doing?
How am I doing?
See,
okay, happy to be here.
There goes that question again. I'm sorry I did that to you.
Yeah. Glad to be here with you today.
Of course. Glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background in early childhood education, and, why you wanted to be a preschool teacher.
Yeah. Well, the oldest sibling thing rings true with me. I'm the oldest of four.
Okay.
10 years older than my youngest brother, William. And I grew up loving spending time with my young siblings. I was a babysitter in the neighborhood, volunteering everywhere, being around kids as much as I can. And, even with all that, I never thought it was so natural to me. I never thought early childhood education would be my career. And then I fell in love with it. I love being part of helping children discover the world. It's a real honor to me to work with young children. A lot of the children I work with are stepping outside of family care for the very first time. And I take that really seriously. It's an honor for me to be a part of the process that helps them discover the wider world and realize that there are safe people that love them and will take care of them outside of their family.
Oh, my goodness, yes. So 19 years, what's the range of ages that you've taught in 19 years?
Well, I started off, I knew I wanted to work with kids, but I started off with adolescents, couldn't hack it. And worked with teenagers, elementary school children, and then, babies and preschoolers, and that's where I really found my heart. Again, they're trying so hard to figure out the world, right? That behavior all makes sense to me. They just want to know what's okay, what's not okay, how do I interact with people as a human, and being able to map that out for them brings me a lot of joy.
We have... Everyone wants to talk to me while I'm on the radio. It's amazing how that works. We have a couple things in common. I realize you just said you have a brother, William. I have a brother, William.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
How old is your brother?
He is, 34.
34 years old. Yeah.
In my heart, He's 5, but...
In my heart, he's 5.
I try not to let that show out anymore.
A lot of the conversations that are happening right now are centered around this, surge of unwelcomed visitors. I'm trying my best to describe this without saying any. First of all, the views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of KRSM, Pillsbury Creative Commons, Pillsbury United Communities, or our community partners. This is just how Mike is feeling. And I love being able to say that because, it's the reminder that we all have freedom of speech.
Yeah. Yep.
There's some parameters, of course, right? You do everything within reason, but for the most part, you should be able to say how you feel. So, as someone with 19 years of experience in early childhood education, what do you see as the biggest challenge parents face when trying to explain something as complicated as what's happening to our young children?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think fear. right? Fear. And I think a lot of the parents and early childhood educators that I talk to really want to show up with all the right answers, right? So they don't want to step into the conversation until they feel like they know the exact right thing to say. And there's no exact right thing to say now. We are all scared. And we're having trouble regulating our own feelings. And so stepping into a conversation with a child that you care for, when you're supposed to be the one who can explain the world to them, when you don't have an explanation, is a really scary thing. And so I have empathy. I'm living in that space. I don't have children of my own, but I'm living in that space as a teacher. And I have empathy for parents who are really struggling right now, how to make sense of a world that doesn't make sense to their children.
So I'm the father of 7. My kids range, and they're always going to be your kids, so it is what it is. My kids range in age from all the way up to 26 down to 4. I have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old. My 9-year-old is very aware of what's going on. I talk to her as she wants to. So to want to say something to them and not necessarily want to corrupt their world is a tricky thing.
Yeah, I think I see so many people balancing, right? That like, I don't want to lie to children, but I want to give them information. And what is that balance? It's a really hard balance to find.
So that being said, why do you think it's important for us to be honest with kids about ICE, and even when we want to shield them from fear and all that? Like, why is it important to be honest?
Yeah. I'm gonna start out quoting my man Fred Rogers right here.
Ooh.
Whatever is mentionable is manageable, right? And so stepping into that space when we don't name things for children, we leave them in a place of fear, right? The things that we don't name for them. We know, just like you said, your 9-year-old, young children, I work with 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. They see what's happening in their community. And when the adults that they trust to make sense of the world for them don't step into that space and say something, then we're sending the message that it's too big to talk about, that it's too scary to talk about, and we leave them alone in that fear. And so even when we show up imperfectly, when we can name this for children and walk alongside and wonder and with them, we're telling them that it's manageable, right? It's mentionable and manageable.
Is that the reassurance?
That's not where it stops, right? Of course. I think the reassurance, but that's the first part of it. I think that's the first step, is saying, okay, this isn't so big that the adult that I love can't talk about it, even if they don't have all the answers. We're not going to solve it for them, right? We can't solve what's happening right now, but we can show them how we're working on it, and bring them into that piece of it too, looking for the helpers. Yeah.
Speaking on, like the importance of the reassurance. So we have here at KRSM Radio, we have a youth internship program. It's like the full school year. We have high schoolers that do their own show. They produce their own radio show every Wednesday, right? When all this is happening and schools decided we're going to close, we decided to let them decide whether they wanted to continue or not. And they actually wanted to stick to their routine. Talk a little bit about that. Is that one of the things that we can also do? How important is the routine in a situation like this?
Yeah, vitally important, right? With young children, we know, with all children, but my area of focus is mostly young children, that routine is safety, right? It allows children to have some autonomy and a sense of control when they know what is coming up next. And it allows them to regulate, right? to know, so that the next step isn't so uncertain. Oh, I'm going to school. At school, I keep my routine exactly the same so that my children, when they come to school, right, they know, oh, we drop off our backpack, we wash our hands, we go play. And then snack time is coming up. Sometimes they're always asking about snack time, right? But we're keeping all that order of the day exactly the same so that there's this sense of routine and safety when they come to school. And I think we never grow out of that. I'm 44 years old and I'm sticking pretty close to my routines right now. Yeah. My safety routines, right, that help me feel regulated so I can go out and do things that are out of my routine, right, at other times.
I agree. That, so early childhood, right? So like my 4-year-old fits in that. Yeah. How do you, what does it mean to keep the conversations appropriate, developmentally appropriate? Yeah. Like, do you even talk to your, because you say you talk to your preschoolers a little bit, right? Yep. How do you navigate that part?
Yeah, it's tricky. I'm thinking about it all the time, and I'm talking to the parents about it too. And I think a first step is to think about what you can tell them. Again, that balance between making them afraid but also being truthful. And so what I'm doing with my children is trying to stick to concrete facts. And focusing on things like safety. Who is a safe person for you? Where do you feel safe? When mom can't be with you, who's a grown-up that you feel safe with? When dad can't be with you, who's a grown-up that you feel safe with? And then also for children who might have lost parents to deportation, whose parents are being taken right now, that's a whole different angle, right? Because they're directly feeling unsafe. And so being able to say, yes, this is scary, helping them name their emotions in that moment. I wonder if you're feeling scared.
I was just about to ask you about the I wonder.
I wonder if you're feeling afraid. Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about the I wonder. Like, what is that? How can that help kids feel safe?
Yeah, that's language that I use outside of these acute crises situations. This is emotional regulation language that I use with my students all of the time. But I mean, you have children, so right, going up to a 3-year-old and saying you're mad, I'm not mad, right? But using that I wonder language, I think it's a respectful way to invite children to name their feelings and share their feelings, because you're not taking over and saying you feel this way, but you're giving them and modeling some language that they might be able to use, right?
So like an example is like what?
So saying like, I'm going to throw in another piece here, that with young children, we often, behavior is communication, right? And so when children are experiencing trauma or witnessing distressing events, their behavior can change and they can start acting out, right? Behaviors that you haven't seen for a long time or maybe have never seen before. And so being able to say, I asked you to clean up and you're throwing the blocks instead. It's not a safe behavior. I wonder if you're feeling really scared because your friend isn't coming to school right now. I wonder if you're feeling upset because you haven't seen a beloved teacher in a long time.
So the I wonder almost invites to like them to elaborate if they wanted to on what it was that they were feeling.
Exactly. I think it creates the space for them to share their feelings. And kind of like you said about taking the child's lead, that's a balance too, right? Holding that space. And I think I wonder language allows you to step into that space where you're letting them share, but you're creating you're like creating an opportunity and holding space for them to share their feelings.
In the description, there was a mention about, let me make sure, special education?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is that the kind of teacher that you are right now?
Yeah, so I have an inclusion classroom. I have a mixed age classroom of 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, and it's an inclusion classroom, so children who are developing typically and children with special needs.
That is great.
Yeah.
I only say that because that literally fits my daughter, Marley.
Wonderful.
Marley, and I just performed last night for the first time in a while, and kind of getting I love my kids. I love being able to perform. So as I talk, sometimes I can feel myself starting to like, Mike, you gotta chill. It's starting to well up a little bit. But I wrote a song and I performed it last night for her. and like to not be quiet about her special ability.
Yes.
Is one of the things that I'm learning. And to know that you're like one of our teachers, because like it takes a special teacher to be able to deal with our Marley girl. And I see the love in y'all can't see this, but I see the love in your face. Like I get it. What kind of, can you talk about like the dynamic of your classroom? Like,
yeah. Please. Do
okay,
we have 32 hours to talk about? Yes. Listen, I love teaching in an inclusion classroom. The reason I'm a preschool teacher is because it builds community, right? It's a great honor to me to build this classroom community every year. And just what you said, naming differences, right? So in my classroom, everything is mentionable. We talk about it. And so I have a couple children in my class right now who have special abilities, who have different needs, and the children notice, right? And if you don't name it, the children start to avoid those children because they don't know how to map it out. It doesn't make sense to them, and so we can't ask a 4-year-old to do the work to figure out how to include somebody in play, right? And so it's my job to map it out. Oh, the student can't use his words, but if we watch his face, we can tell how he's feeling. Can you tell how he's feeling right now? What do you see that lets you know how he's feeling? Can you show me what that looks like on your face?
It's the thing you worry about as a parent.
Yeah.
Like, is my child going to be able to do blank? So to hear that that's the thing that you do is great. Sorry to cut you off.
No. Like I said, I could talk about this all day, so please do cut me off. But I think that again, it maps onto just what we were just talking about, right? This idea of mentionable and manageable. It's the core of my anti-bias work that I do with teachers too. When we avoid talking about difference, it makes it scary. When we name difference for children, we normalize it, and they're able to map it into their world. We have to trust children, right? We need to give them the tools. And my kids are, again, oh man, I love this age because they're ready to do it. They just need a little direction.
Activities, right? So I'm jumping, and I know we have these list of questions, but I'm jumping. So like, children find comfort in the familiar. We talked about the routine. Mm-hmm. When you're adding new stuff, right? Like, how can activities like cooking and all these things, cultural recipes, listening to music, or sharing family stories, help children build pride in their identity without telling them that that's what you're doing?
Yeah. So I think that exactly is the key right there. I think a lot of grown-ups, when they're like, okay, I have to talk about this big conversation, they're like, I'm going to talk to you about racism. Yeah. Or I'm going to talk to you about ICE violence in the community. No, we don't need to go right there. What we can do is hold them around it, right? And so celebrating identity is a key piece of anti-bias and anti-racist education, right? And we don't even have to, before we even say racism to young children, what we're saying is you as an individual are valued and celebrated, and not just in a global and blanket way, but specifically for what you bring into the community and what you bring into the room, right? And so what kind of recipes do you cook at home? Let's try them out at school. Let's make them there. What music do you listen to at home? Let's bring that into the classroom and have that be part of our dance party. So important. And I think, right, too, for families that are at home right now, we know that the violence is rooted in racism, and that so when the outside world is telling your family that you are less than and that you are not as valuable, what can we do to support you to lean in to your identity and to celebrate your identities at home so they are getting a message of joy about their identity when the world is trying to tell them that that's not true? Right.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. We could talk forever. Kids will feed off of our emotions a lot of times, and I don't think we catch on to that. First of all, thank you for doing the type of education that you're doing, because like there's not enough culturally responsive teaching at all.
Yeah.
Like
this is true.
They're like, this is what's in the book. This is this is that, and that's that. Like, not even like, what do you do at home? But whatever, we're not gonna go into that. It's hard to stay calm, and I don't think we realize it as parents, caregivers in general, what message it sends to the young people. So like, why is it critical for parents to stay calm and validate their child's feelings at the same time during talks about what's going on? Like, why is it important?
Yeah, good question. I want to start off by saying, like, full support to all parents and caregivers. It is not easy to stay calm right now, and so I just want to share the phrase that I've been sharing in every place I can: good enough. You just have to be a good enough caregiver right now. You don't have to be super mom. You don't have to be super dad. You just are. You get to take care of yourself, so that you can take care of your children.
Say that one more time.
Yeah.
You just need to be what?
Yeah, good enough. Just good enough. Yeah.
Did you hear that? I felt that. In a time where you feel like you need to be a superhero, you just need to be good enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And so,
Keep going.
and so, what that can mean, you don't have to have every minute filled with like enlightening your child about the world, right? You don't have to fill every minute with like gathering information about what's going on as a way to try to protect your child. So looking for spaces where you can ground yourself and you can take a break. Having conversations with children when you feel more emotionally regulated, so it's not right after you've seen a horrifying video online.
Yeah.
Right? It's not right after you've experienced a traumatic event in your community. First, you're trying to get regulated, whatever that looks like for you. And then you're trying to have a conversation with your children because they're looking to you, right? And so if you come into that conversation super activated, really fearful, really afraid, children are going to pick up on that.
So say, for instance, you accidentally have, like, you reacted in a way, they saw it, and now it's starting to play out in their behavior.
Yeah.
What are some ways for us to, like, try to address that, you know, in a productive way? So, like, if we see something like, oh, man, that probably came from me.
Yeah. I think giving yourself a break there, too, and admitting that you can make mistakes. I think that's really powerful for children. A lot of times as caregivers, teachers, and parents, I think that we have to project this, again, this idea of perfection. We have to be perfect all of the time. But it's really powerful for children to see you make a mistake and to name that. And so just to say, right, you know, I yelled at you earlier and I was having a big feeling and I should not have yelled at you. I'm feeling calmer now and I'm sorry that I yelled at you. Can we go and bake some cookies together, right? I talk about rupture and repair all of the time with my student teachers. I'm not a perfect teacher. If I have to deliver a hard message to a child, I make sure that I find time later in that day for us to just have a really positive moment together. I'm going to go sledding with them. I'm going to build a block tower with them. I don't even have to say anything necessarily, but I want them to feel, right, that even when there's a rupture, there's always going to be a repair afterwards.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's a good reminder for all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, if adults felt this way about each other. The Childhood Development Center at the University of Minnesota. What is this? Talk about this place. What is this place?
Yeah, so it's a school with several different programs in one building. I work with all of the classrooms. There's a full day program, and that program serves families that either work or go to the university. Nice. There's a part day program that's a community program. That's my preschool classroom is in that program. That's part of the early childhood education program. So student teachers who are finishing their degrees come and spend a semester with us. Okay. And we also have a Dakota language nest. It's a Dakota language classroom that's taught entirely in Dakota.
Hello.
So,
That's good.
Yeah.
I love the focus on early childhood development. My wife and I actually met in high school in a childhood psychology class. Okay. So I think that's kind of funny. Yeah. The other part of your world that we didn't get a chance to spend any time on is Young Hearts. Young Hearts, Open Minds. What is that?
Yeah, so that is a nonprofit program that I've been working with for a couple of years, and I go in and I work with cohorts of teachers. It's usually happens over about 10 to 15 weeks. We meet once a week for about an hour and a half, and it's an opportunity for teachers to step in, really reflect on their own biases and how they show up in the classroom, and then work to mitigate that. And so we try to really build a community where we can be vulnerable with each other. We can name the ways that we're failing to show up. And obviously it takes a lot of vulnerability to be able to name where racism lives inside of you. Mm-hmm. But we can't, again, you got to mention it. You got to know that it's there to be able to address it.
That's the work. Like that's the work. You know, I don't think many of us are prepared to acknowledge our own bias. Our biases, you probably have a few of them. But that probably changes you as a person as well as you're facilitating stuff like that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, it's the reason that I'm here, honestly, because one of the things that I work with a lot of white women, a lot of white teachers in Minnesota, and one of the things I say all of the time is you don't have to show up perfectly, but you have to show up. I don't love speaking on the radio, but I can show up imperfectly to do the work if it's helpful to someone, and that I think is our call.
And that's the thing for a listener that didn't expect to be fed in this way. It's like you're listening and you're that parent or you're that teacher. Or if you listen, my kids listen, my daughter listens. You know, she's got her iPad, probably got her iPad with the website tuned in right now with it on play. So you get it. You actually are helping, and you're right. Most of it is you showed up. You showed up to have a conversation, and you didn't even really know what to expect. And that's kind of that's all it really takes is most of it is just you showing up.
Yeah, you got to show up. You got to be vulnerable. You got to be willing to do the work and not to be right all of the time.
Before I let you go, I want to talk real quick about actions and safety plans. Yes. So how can parents create a safety plan with their child to prepare for a potential, ICE related situation? Full disclosure. And I got close to the mic when I said this. First of all, the views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of KRSM, PUC, or our partners. I don't even like saying the word ICE anymore. It changed my vocabulary to the point where when I was finishing my performance last night, the last thing I said was, I like my ice crushed. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. So that's why I almost didn't want to say the word. But anyway, how can parents create a safety plan with their children to prepare for these potential situations?
Yeah, I want to share 2 resources here that I think might be helpful. There is something called the Minnesota Family Deportation Preparedness Plan. So I encourage you to Google that. It has a link to a DOPA form. It's a delegation of parental authority. And so if that is a useful tool for your family, I think that is a great resource.
What is it called again?
It's called the Minnesota Family Deportation Preparedness Plan.
Okay.
And so that's been put together by experts who do this work all of the time in Minnesota. And I encourage everybody to take a look at it and see how it fits your family's needs.
Beautiful. Was there something else you had on there?
Yes. I just want another really wonderful resource. Hopewell Hodges just gave a really great talk for the Minnesota Association for Children's Mental Health called Supporting Children During Immigrant Enforcement Operations. It's on YouTube. It's an excellent resource, and it connects to a lot of other really wonderful resources. So some books that you might want to read with children, and it also has a link to the Minnesota Family Deportation Preparedness Plan that I just mentioned.
Awesome. When in our culture, when we talk about, breaking bread with each other, the food doesn't necessarily have to be physical, right? So this is all food. If you could leave a message of hope, this is food for your heart, food for your soul, food for your mind, any information that you'd like to leave for our listeners, what would you say?
The thing that keeps me going all of the time in this work There's a child psychologist, Yuri Bronfenbrenner, and he said that the one thing that a child needs to succeed in the world is an adult who loves them wholeheartedly and joyfully. That's the protective factor. And so be that person for a child in your life, and we can go from there.
Man, every time I ask that question, I don't get to sit in this chair and ask these questions without being sharpened myself. So I heard you. I felt that every time I ask that question, I get an answer that's like, yo, you asked. This is how, as an adult male, I think of what it would have felt. And I'm not, no shade to anybody who helped raise me, because I love y'all. But that description you just gave as an adult male makes me wish I was a kid again so I can experience that.
Yeah. Yep.
We appreciate you.
Thank you,
Miss
so
Marie.
much.
We appreciate you for everything. We're going to take a picture. She's going to be up on the wall, all that good stuff. I don't know if you even ever listen to KRSM Radio, but lock us in, and I hope to have you back here sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. You can hear a recording of this show at littlemomentscount.org/podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Little Moments Count, you can visit their website at littlemomentscount.org. If you also want to hear the show in its entirety, you message me and Michael sends you the show. All right. All love, my people. Consider yourselves fed. 98.9 FM. Food for the culture. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Little Moments Count radio podcast in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. You can find the Little Moments Count radio podcast wherever you get your podcasts and at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.